Hi there, I'm Danny Gregory from Sketchbook School, and I wanted to share a little sketchbook tour that I did with my friend Chris Koehler. Chris is one of the top illustrators out there today. He has worked for the New York Times, he works for Universal, he's done posters for Star Wars, he worked for Marvel, all kinds of exciting things, and he's going to show us what is the world's scariest sketchbook. Trust me, this sketchbook is going to blow you away, and he's going to tell us a huge amount about it as well. So this is going to be a really amazing opportunity to go in depth with one of the top illustrators, who's also, by the way, going to be teaching a workshop for us called From Photo to Fabulous, in which he shows us how illustrators like him use photo reference to make these incredible images that you're going to see. Check it out.
Hi, Hi, I'm here with Chris Koehler, and we are talking about sketchbooks. We're surrounded by the debris of the shoot that we just finished. But let's talk about, you brought some sketchbooks with you. I'd love to see them, particularly this slightly grubby one here.
It is very grubby.
Yeah, so I'm afraid to touch it myself, but why don't you take us through it?
Yeah, absolutely. This is my current sketchbook. So I have a library at home of sketchbooks, but this is the one I've been working on, and I'm almost done. I think I have 4 pages left. So all the sketchbooks I do are themed, and this one is the horror movie villain themed sketchbook. I love working in red and black. It's my favorite color combination. So this book actually didn't start out as a horror movie book. I just really wanted to draw a Hannibal. I was watching Silence of the Lambs and feeling especially inspired. And I just did this on 1 page, and I thought I'd keep it going.
And now, had you drawn horror monsters before?
I'm a horror movie nerd, so I've done a lot of movie posters for horror. I've done, Poltergeist, People Under the Stairs. I'm currently doing all the classic horror monsters for Universal.
That's so exciting.
It's a really fun job.
So who are you drawing? Like Wolfman and Frankenstein?
I've finished Frankenstein and the Mummy, and I'm halfway through Wolfman now, and then Dracula, Gilman, and The Bride coming up.
So it's hard to tell, perhaps, from what you're seeing on video, but this is a completely ink up to the edges, and it goes all the way on the opposite page too. And this is drawn with what?
So this is drawn with Pentel Arts color brushes. I use 1 red and 1 black. And more recently I've incorporated the Pentel Arts sign pen brush, micro brush, a red and black into my kit.
Is that what these super fine lines are from?
Those are from the normal color brush. Yeah, the normal color brush gets it.
Sprinkle there.
Yeah, I blew through the brush to get that one. I wanted like a little bit of blood left over from this meal. Or
It's much more control. I usually use like a toothbrush like that. It's so much less control than that. It's blowing through a brush. It makes a lot of sense.
It does. I mean, I would. You almost pass out if you do it too much. So a toothbrush is more practical. But
all right, let's see another one.
All right, I'm just going to go through this. This is from a Japanese horror movie called Audition, one of my favorites. I cannot, in good conscience, recommend it, though.
It's a cool image.
Yeah, this is a lot of fun.
So it's about flossing?
In a manner of speaking.
Okay.
So this is, I put in a little whiteout on this page.
Cheating.
Absolutely cheating. I only get through this by cheating.
Of course.
So then we have The Shining. This is Jack Torrance. And you'll see there's little details here. Like it says red rum in the eyes.
I love the highlight on that furrow in his brow. That's the kind of thing I would think maybe of doing, but I would be afraid it would look so wrong. But of course it would be there. It would be a highlight on it.
Yeah, it's those little bits that, for me, like they're the most fun to do, but they also bring it to life. And then another thing, too, is like with the stroke, the mark making in the strokes, they really help imply the directionality of the light. So we have this low light coming up. So having all the stroke marks
that in focus?
Blurry.
There we go. Having all the stroke marks go up shows the directionality of the light, so you kind of tackle two things with one.
Right, exactly, yeah. But also gives it energy and movement somehow, having lots of moving lines, right?
Yeah, which is nice for portraits because otherwise they might feel a little stiff. Of course, Halloween, one of the greats. For this too, I forgot to do the knife, so that is all white out as well. It's a relatively easy piece. And then we have Psycho, Norman Bates. It's a lot of fun. Really, kind of an iconic image, so I didn't want to screw that up too much.
I just love this hair. I love the I don't know, there's something about the fact that it's not just highlights. It's not just black and white, but that you're adding a second color to add tone, but there's also the gradation that makes tone, the shape of the lines that are creating the tone as well.
The hair is like the most fun thing to do in any piece. I mean, like this is just, the only reason I do this part is so I can get to the hair. The hair and the eyes, the rest of it could just be white. I don't really care. I mean, it's really fun too because the hair is where you have all the movement and energy. And then for the shading on the face, it's extremely structured, well-mannered dagger strokes, but everything else I get to cut loose.
I like that highlight on top of the ear too.
It's little bits, yeah.
And mother looks nice.
Had to have that in there. We have Chucky, which I got in trouble at home for putting this on Instagram.
Really?
I was.
People are terrified of Chucky. I've never seen a Chucky movie, so that kind of leaves me flat. But
yeah, no, I mean, if you've seen it, it's quite traumatizing. But it's just, I think, looking at any doll with bright eyes like this is going to be kind of scary.
Yeah, it's the lack of eyebrows too.
The lack of eyebrows, and then for this one was fun. It's just the whites of the eyes are just filled in with red, which gives it that little bit of creepiness. This is for the witch. This was a lot of fun. I actually took a Pentel Arts pocket brush and just got it really saturated and blew into it to get all the spatter here. I had originally done this in just red and black. This is the devil, if you've seen the movie. And it was coming forward way too much, so I wanted to push it back. And spatter was the best way I could think of doing it.
We used to call our dog Black Phillip.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. That wasn't his name, but we called him Black Phillip because he was occasionally seemed kind of demonic. That was the reason, right? It was demonic-ish. He was a small dachshund, so it wasn't really fair, but this is so great.
So this is Pinhead from Hellraiser. For this, I actually bought a parallel pen just to do the marks on the sides, which was impossible to do with the brush. I tried.
So you rarely use pens, though, right? Even parallel pens, but pens of any description.
No, I mean, I can't draw with a pen to save my life. Like, I find pens really difficult to draw with.
But like these white highlights on these pins, that's just negative space?
Yeah, that's just the weight of the paper. I just work around it. I think for something like this, I'm not usually not just going in with ink. It's all fairly planned out. I know where my values are going to go ahead of time, which is why I can work in these like little highlights here. And then if you see the pieces in process, all the red is done before any of the black. Mm. So if you see this halfway through, it looks like all the black areas are red. So this is all filled, and I use the red as a structure to build the blacks on. So the red is almost like a sketch in a way.
Interesting. So, and your reference, that's what I was going to ask you in general, your lighting in these drawings seems so specific and stylized, but I can't imagine that there's reference in all these movies. They don't all have that kind of lighting. You've created that.
Yeah, for most of these there is
high intensity single source light. Yeah.
Yeah, which is you can't do multiple light sources with two colors like this. It gets really confusing. Because a lot of times you're using the color of the light to differentiate it. So for this, I kind of have to reimagine how these things look with a single light source. Or in some cases, what I'm doing is using like toys as reference.
Okay.
Like this alien one, I used an alien toy. And so I get that the basic structure and the light, and then you know, poor me, I have to watch the movie several times. So this whole project came about because people always tell you to do what you love for art, for a living, and the two things I love most are just watching horror movies and drawing. So if this gives me an excuse to just watch Alien a few times, I'll take it.
I mean, that's why I draw sandwiches. So. Wow, this one is just amazing.
I love Jaws. I love Jaws. I got to do a Jaws poster for Universal pretty soon after doing this piece. So yeah, I mean, what can you say about Jaws, right? And doing water is one of my favorite.
It's just the water, as I've said this to you before, it just feels like you feel the three-dimensionality of the surface, you know, that the water is you can feel it undulating. It's not, water is this is just an art to drawing water, drawing waves, because you can't ever capture them in a minute without a photograph. You have to just keep studying them and seeing what the repetition is and how it works, really, how the fluid dynamics work and so forth.
Yeah, I mean, to absolutely butcher Bruce Lee, you know, be like water. You do have to get a feel for it. I mean, you look at someone like Hokusai, that's someone who just mastered the flow of water. But I think for something like this, it was I used to live right above the beach and sit drawing the surf for hours a day as just like a way to relax. And I think in that time you draw something enough and you develop your own language around it. And water's definitely one of the things I feel like I've developed a language all my own.
Absolutely. Yeah, to me, I would know that was you, just from that. No, I mean, I recognize the way that you do water, having seen it in so many different drawings that you've done, so yeah.
For a while, I was the wave guy. I had to mix it up and incorporate rocks and trees into the mix.
Awesome, that's expanding.
Now I'm like the beach guy.
Yeah, this one is just too creepy. This is the scariest one of all. So.
This is scary because they could be your neighbors.
That's true.
Love Get Out. This is John Carpenter's Christine. Absolute classic. A lot of times I like putting in little Easter eggs too, so you can see the skulls in the headlights. For this one too, it was a lot of fun because I didn't have to do lots of shading. You know, if you're doing metal, you want to keep the edges really hard and high contrast. Which, if you're doing ink work like this, the way you do the strokes or lack thereof is going to inform the material and texture. So certain parts like chrome, there's almost no shading. Other parts are going to have a tiny bit of shading.
So there's no gradation in chrome then, really? It's just a series of reflections, right?
Pretty much, yeah. It's going to be extremely high contrast. It's a lot of fun to draw, and it's a lot faster than other materials.
Yeah.
This is Phantasm. Everyone who looks through this book, they're like, I have no idea what this one is from.
I know Phantasm. Is it Italian?
It's Don Coscarelli. It's either American or Canadian.
I thought it was Italian.
Is it? You know, it might be. It's this is like one of the weirdest horror movies ever made.
It's not terribly scary as I remember it. It was a tedious school.
Unless you're scared of flying
boring
orbs.
You to death. Yeah.
Yeah. That's really where the fear comes in.
But he's got a cool face.
Angus Scrimm. Yeah.
Good name.
You can see I know way too much about horror movies. Kathy Bates in Misery.
So here I want to ask you about teeth. So
yes,
people always say to me, you know, whenever I see somebody do a drawing of teeth and they draw each tooth, it always looks like a jack-o'-lantern or an inbreed or something like that.
Yeah,
it's just not a flattering thing. And here you've even gone so far as to give texture to the teeth with that kind of like ridges to it that look like really old teeth or animal teeth or something like that. But how is one to approach teeth?
Yeah, teeth are maybe the most delicate part of a face to draw. I would say if you're ever on the fence, underplay the shading, because drawing hard lines between the teeth makes everyone look like a nutcracker. If you've ever seen like tattoos where people get portrait tattoos where the artist outlines every tooth, it's like immediately horrifying.
I learned it from comic books like Superman, things like that. They always just had a bar of teeth.
Yeah, you have a bar of teeth. Maybe you imply a little shading.
It's like a rounded piece of plastic. It's not
with little ridges.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think for this, I definitely, the teeth in this really matter for the read of it. I think you want a little bit of that edge. But you'll see in between these, it's not shaded with black. It's just a little red. And then even there's just a little nick of a black line going down. But the center teeth, really important to define that. If you define the teeth and the eyes well, then you're pretty much done with the face.
And that iris almost looks like it has lots of other colors in it too, but it's all just red. One's yellowish and orangish, but that's just because of the fineness of the line.
Yeah, no, this is like, you could draw every little part of the eye with that. And I do love digging in and like just, yeah, I can spend more time drawing the eyes than the rest of the face. All right, what do we have next here? Let the Right One In. Actually, this is my favorite vampire movie of all time.
It's such a great movie. You should read the book.
I do have to read the book.
The book is great, but also there is the American version, which usually when they do an American version of a pretty good European film, it's not great. But in this case, that's pretty good too. But this girl who plays the vampire in the Swedish version is just so great.
Yeah, this is an all-time movie for me, and I was really.
We should watch that movie again sometime.
Did the director do Border, or was it the writer who wrote Border?
The Border?
Have you seen that one, Border? It's
Border is in like a boarding house?
As in like a frontier.
Oh.
Well, this is one of those really, really, really rare pieces where I feel like I was just really on point with the
hair,
with the line work and the hair in this one. Normally, I could look at a piece and all I see is every mistake.
But you can't fake that. You can't. You have to just do.
Yeah, no, I was in such a zone with this piece that like the hair. Let's zoom in a little here. Let's see. A lot of this hair is, well, almost all the hair is single stroke work. So it's just taking a brush pen and then pulling it like 6 inches with a curve in perfect parallel and just hoping you don't screw it up.
But the point about this hair, I think people make these mistakes with hair. It's like this is individual hairs, but it's also shading and blocks of shadow in there that make it dimensional and also break it up. It's not just a bunch of lines that are hair.
Yeah, hair.
Hair's
a trip because it is. You have to think about it as individual strands which form a uniform surface.
Right.
And to that degree, like a lot of the shading in this is like if you look at the shading here, shading is actually going to go perpendicular to the direction of the hair in a block. So you'll see it go. You're not going to see individual strands one by one being shaded, but it's shaded along perpendicular curves.
Because it's like a band of hair that has its own light reflection. It's not the
Exactly. You would shade it almost like you would shade a cylinder, which is, you can see like back here, it's almost treated like a lumpy cylinder.
Because I was always told, like, don't draw every hair, but somehow drawing every hair when you know what you're doing is actually really cool.
It's a lot of fun, too. Yeah. It's extremely stressful. My anxiety level on this piece was through the roof.
I have to say, you've also set yourself up because you have a book of perfect pages, and if you screw up one in the middle, what are you going to do?
I think
you've raised the degree of difficulty so high, it's like you should be in Tokyo right now getting a gold medal.
What's funny is like these things are. When I look at these, I see every mistake. I see every stroke I pull.
I do too. I didn't want to say anything, but these are terrible.
You're being really kind and generous with your read of this, but no, I think a lot of times if I overstroke something, I'll just fill it with red or black, or just hope no one notices and move on. But yeah, there's a lot of weirdness, but it's all weird in the same way, so it works in a way.
Well, I think it's absolutely spectacular accomplishment.
Thank you. It's Candyman, one of the all-time great horror movies.
I just love this fur, how it's like undulating, like it feels like ratty old fur. It doesn't just feel like hairs.
Yeah, getting texture with brush stroke is it's like the most rewarding thing. And in this, there was so much good texture that the hair, the skin.
Did you see that a fly just appeared?
That is so
page.
thematically perfect.
Isn't that bizarre?
Being like dirty rusted metal and fur and smooth cloth, this is just a playground. And it's also
and his hair is so different too.
Yeah, and working with darker skin tones is really interesting to do too, because it just shifts where the red volume goes. So starting with like a base of red and then working less highlights into it, it's a lot of fun. It's a good challenge. Who do we have here? This is a Japanese movie called Ringu, which is the original Ring. For this movie, you actually don't really see the villain except in like one scene at the end. So, how do you do something different with that? My answer was just not show the face at all.
I mean, this posture when you see it is so creepy.
And it's really iconic too. Yeah, just kind of that tilted head, draped black hair. Yeah, this was a fun piece. And a piece like this is a nice.
But also, you made her hair flat, like you didn't give her like nice shiny hair with all the highlights, like the vampire head. She's just like dead black, flat black.
Yeah, that's kind of part of this too. Is like I don't know when I start a piece if I'm making the right decisions.
No, but here you were, because this hair isn't being affected by the light like everything else is. Right?
Yeah,
you
yeah.
left it flat black, so it just makes her much more inhuman and dead feeling.
And it becomes part of the negative space, which is
right. It blends into the black of the background.
Negative space is really powerful.
Very negative.
The Night of the Hunter.
We were talking about this movie before. It's a beautiful movie.
This is like the cinematography, and this is my favorite cinematography in any movie ever. Stanley Cortez did this.
He was the DP?
He was the DP. He also did Magnificent Ambersons.
So it actually has this kind of lighting, a lot of it, like as if they lit it with like 1.5K or something like that.
Yeah. The lighting in this it's such an interesting movie because it's a noir, but also a Southern Gothic. But the set design and art direction is very German expressionist too.
Right.
So you get extremely high key light, hard angles. Such a creepy movie, but one of the best.
Yeah, Robert Mitchum he's so seductive and also so evil at the same time.
Yeah, no, he's perfect.
And has children who are menaced in it. So yeah. And Charles Lawton.
Charles Lawton, yeah, the one and only Charles Lawton, who was an actor and only made one movie.
So he made it, and it was badly received, so he was never about to direct another movie?
He was, as I understand it, he was just so demoralized from the experience, he never did it again.
Toughen up, Chuck.
Which is like, it's a shame, because it's a perfect movie. An American Werewolf in London. Wow. This was fun, because I really wanted to do a piece where I was just working in black on red, and just did little punches of highlights. When I'm drawing like dogs or cats, I like just punching out a couple highlights on the nose.
I like the kind of crazy asterisk thing you made.
They're really weird shapes, but then you kind of pull back and it almost works.
I guess so, because I like to draw dogs a lot, but they often have those sort of textured noses, so the highlights will be on the little tiny kind of grains of skin or whatever it is.
Yeah, they're like they're like dots, goosebumps or something. Yeah. I love that. Like those little textures. That's like where I have all the fun. Like and the shines on the gums and tongue. This piece was just I got to do fur and hair.
Really good.
But to be clear, it's not whiteout. It's the back.
This is not whiteout,
yeah. Right?
No, that's a negative space. So he drew the red around that shape. So that's the paper showing through.
It's funny too, because if you saw this piece at halfway, all you saw was the white of the eyes, some dots in the middle of the page, and some teeth and some more dots. And it looked like absolutely nothing.
And then you painted. Then you went in and painted all the red and the black.
I saw the red, and I want to paint it black.
That'd make a good song.
You know, we should do that.
That's your theme song. What is this?
Bob from Twin Peaks. Probably for me the scariest character in the book. Really, really had fun with this lighting too. This was a super creepy one.
Different kind of tooth treatment here too.
Yeah. A lot less value on the teeth because I wanted that intense lighting. Which, if you're a Twin Peaks fan,
it's also the snarl and so scene, a little bit of gum and all those things that just make it creepier.
And the gap in his front teeth is pretty iconic as far as I care. So another thing with this too is like having the where you put the highlight on the eyes completely informs the direction of the light.
Right.
So a lot of people will always just put the highlight in the same place in like the top left of the iris, but
he's lit from below.
He's lit from below, so you want that light from below, and everything reinforces that. And then the ratty hair. I mean, that
looks greasy.
It's greasy and it's gray hair too.
But it's also like the way it reflects light is different because it's greasy.
Yeah.
It's much shinier without being glossy.
So it has kind of like that hard highlight, but then it's tangled through everything else.
I wouldn't even dare to try something like what you do.
This is one of my favorites in the book. This is from a movie called The Lighthouse. Willem Dafoe is one of those actors. I've drawn Willem Dafoe so many times at this point, and I in this project alone, I'm probably going to do him in a few movies because he's more fun to draw than anyone else. His expressions, he just has this look of menace. Like low lighting is also got to do the low lighting in this as well, and hit the highlight goes under the brow ridge, which is it's really fun.
Yeah.
And then the
base of the nose. Yeah.
And then I got to do tentacles too, which was fun. And then the beard here. This is the tricky part: is doing the red to knock out the white hairs.
I see.
And in areas like this, it gets really tricky because you have to figure out where the individual strands are and do the negative space around them.
Amazing.
And then I think this is the last one in here is Kurt Russell in The Thing. And there's a lot of John Carpenter in this project already. And there will be more. This was a weird one. I wanted to do the Thing.
So this is like his metamorphosis into the critter?
This is the one piece in the book that is purely conceptual.
Oh, really?
Because he never
turns into the Thing. This doesn't seem familiar to me.
Yeah, no, this is not a scene from the movie at all. It was like revealed at some point way after the movie came out that it was always the intent that he was the Thing in the end. But it's completely ambiguous in the movie. But sorry, this is total spoilers for The Thing. If you haven't seen it, it came out 40 years ago.
Exactly.
So
too late.
Wait till I get to The Sixth Sense. But for this, it was. This was just an idea based around he might be infected. Mm-hmm. So having Kurt Russell transition into like this monstrosity here. I was getting maybe a little more editorial with this piece.
That's really nice.
But I like drawing monsters, and Kurt Russell's facial hair is worth memorializing over and over again.
All right, so are we done?
I think we're done, yeah.
I just want one BTS over here. All right,
Well,
smile.
That was amazing. So, is there anything else you want to show us while you're here? Like you've got a few other little pieces.
I mean, these are more examples of the photo stuff.
I love this one.
This was a fun one.
So this is an example of red and black, but without it being sinister.
Are we recording over? Yeah, I actually, maybe we could bring this up, but I did finish digital. So for a lot of pieces, what I'll do is start it in red and black, and then use the red as a mid-tone and change the color and added background and stuff. But red and black it's really easy to establish a highlight, midtone, and shadow. So it's just, I love working in these colors. It's vibrant, and it's actually really easy to change in Photoshop because red acts as a color channel.
So you can completely separate them, and then you could change into other colors, or
Exactly. Yeah.
I see. That's great. So going back to this sketchbook now. So this feels like it could or should be published as a book. Is that something you would think of?
That is my hope. That
Yeah.
is my
Well,
hope.
it seems like a pretty obvious thing.
One
to
of
do.
these days.
Yeah.
I think right now I have 24 of them done, and the goal is to do 50 and see what we can do with it.
Fantastic. Good.
All right, give me a smile.
All right. Well, thanks. We're going to wrap this up.
Andy.
What?
Basically, so that is just crazy. No, I got a good one.
Can you go back to the wide shot so we can wrap up this shindig?
We're wide.
Right. Well, that was really fun. That was that fly flew out of your sketchbook.
Yeah, no, I keep them in there just for the extra horror effect.
Well, thanks so much for showing us what I would consider the world's scariest sketchbook.
I
thought I had one that was one when I was drawing really badly, but this is even scarier. So thanks for showing it to us.
My pleasure.
I would like to say it's inspiring, but it kind of isn't because it's sort of so next level that it's sort of like it's like another species. It almost has nothing to do with what humans do. So, but thanks anyway. Congratulations on getting this far. And how long will it take you to finish the last 4 pages?
Hopefully no one hires me to do any illustration work coming up, so I can have time to work in this. Anytime I have a gap between jobs, I try to knock out a piece, which could be every week, or sometimes I only get a break every couple months. But I at least want to finish this by, say, end of September.
And are these Universal, the posters that you're doing for Universal, are they in this, with this kind of treatment?
No, they're full color. They're 24 by 36. So they're huge.
So the originals are 24 by 36?
Mm-hmm. They're full color though. But it's using all the same
kind of dramatic lighting.
Same techniques. Yeah, a lot of stroke work, a lot of dramatic lighting. I mean, I can only think of images the way I think of images. So I'm kind of stuck with what I got.
So when do we get to see them? When are they going to be out in the world? Or what part of the world will they be in? Will they be like in Universal Studios theme park or something?
I have no idea.
Oh, really?
It's always a mystery where they end up, but I will let you know as soon as I find out.
Yeah, because it's a movie poster for a movie that came out 80 years ago or something.
Yeah, 100 years or 90 years, yeah.
Cool, interesting. Cool project. All right, thanks very much.
Cool, thank you.
Cut.